Heyo, welcome back to Cartoon Mania. Today we're diving into the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy, which is just a wild ride of a series. With a whopping 84 episodes spread over 7 seasons, this show is a roller coaster of fun and chaos. So lean back, chill out, and let's dig into all the craziness that this show has to offer. So, it all started 13,000 years ago in a land called the Underworld, a place that gives home to most monsters and supernatural creatures. Back then, there was this little guy called Grim who got admitted to Doomsday High School, which was like the go-to place for all monsters to get an education. Among his classmates was the Boogeyman, who started picking on him immediately and made his school life horrible even before it started. However, one of his classmates, Velma, intervened and scolded Boogie for picking on Grim. Being a spider lady, she trapped Boogie in her web and stuck him to a flagpole for the whole school to watch and laugh, prompting Grim to say that she can be very scary when she has to be.
Wow, Velma, you sure can be scary when you want to be.
However, Boogie continued to make his life miserable with all sorts of pranks, such as pulling a wedgie and making the whole school laugh at him. This prank was the reason everyone started calling him Wedgie Shakespeare. One day in class, the professor revealed that the board has opened a new position for the Reaper, and the only requirement is that the winner should be able to scare people. An election was being held to determine the winner, and as fate would have it, the only 3 people signing up were Boogie, Velma, and Grim. A presentation was held at the auditorium where all the contestants had to convince the audience that they are scary. Boogie made fake threats. Velma used her melancholic voice and looming presence to strike fear in everyone, and Grim was there too. It was very evident that Velma was gonna win and become the next Reaper, but Boogeyman had other plans. When Grim saw him open a vent to the voting basement, he followed him down to see what he is up to. Inside, he saw him setting fire to all of Velma's ballots and filling the bucket with his fake ones. Grim stood up to his bully and locked him in a casket. While he was making things right with the votes, Velma accidentally found him in the basement and ran off crying, thinking that he was cheating to turn the odds in his favor. As Boogie tried to hightail out of there, Grim snatched the prototype scythe from the professor and confronted Boogie for ruining things between him and Velma. He ripped the floor open with the scythe and laughed menacingly as the ghostly figures emerged and captured Boogie. This caused panic in the audience, who were all terrified of Grim and started voting in his favor. So, with this accident, Grim became the Reaper, and the rest is history.
It is time for you to embrace your destiny.
Now, on his first day on the Grim Reaper job, his first task is reaping an annoying human who meets a rather unconventional end under a giant wheel. But the real twist comes when he encounters an old witch doctor. Now, this witch had a prophecy to tell. Surprisingly, she unveils a glimpse of Grim's future, a fate where he ends up being a servant to 2 incredibly bothersome kids, none other than the iconic duo Billy and Mandy. Jumping ahead about 13,000 years later, we land in the quirky town of Ennsville. Here, 2 kids named Billy and Mandy come into the picture. Their friendship goes way back to when they were babies. Billy, being his usual playful self, kept ringing Mandy's doorbell until she got fed up enough to open the door. And what does she say? Are you some kind of idiot?
Are you some kind of idiot?
Billy noticed Mandy didn't have a nose and decided to put an ice cream cone on her face as a joke. Mandy didn't find it funny and gave Billy a punch before shutting the door. But Billy just laughed it off and said, "She digs me." Classic Billy.
Steady, here it comes!
So, one fine day, while Billy and Mandy were throwing a bash for Billy's pet hamster Mr. Snuggles' 10th birthday, guess who drops by? Yep, the Grim Reaper himself. Grim was all set to collect the hamster's soul as Reapers do, but Mandy, being Mandy, was having none of it. She wasn't about to let Grim take Mr. Snuggles without a fight, so she challenged Grim to a game. If Grim wins, he gets the hamster's soul, but if Billy and Mandy win, Grim has to be their best friend forever and ever. Grim, probably thinking he had this in the bag, agreed to the deal. They played Grim's favorite game, Limbo, but Mandy, well, she bent the rules a bit and beat Grim. And that's how Grim ended up being Billy and Mandy's best friend for eternity. So, when Billy's mother Gladys catches sight of Grim for the very first time, it's like panic central for her. At first, she tries to brush it off, thinking maybe it's just her eyes playing tricks on her. But then, boom, Grim is right there in all his Reaper glory, and Gladys just loses it. I mean, can you blame her? It's not every day that you come face to face with the Grim Reaper himself, right? The whole thing goes so south that she has to crash at her sister-in-law Aunt Sis's place. Grim gets tired of being alone while Billy and Mandy are busy, so he comes up with a quirky idea. He wants to be a swimsuit model. But being a skeleton, that's a no-go. Billy and Mandy jump in to help by giving him a human-style makeover. Surprisingly, he lands a gig in a TV ad, but in the end, it's a bit of a letdown. His screen time is super short and they don't exactly make him look like a supermodel. Just another wacky day in Grim's afterlife. Grim starts feeling nostalgic for his old days as the Reaper of Souls, but his bet with Billy and Mandy keeps him from returning to the underworld, much to the amusement of his fellow underworld workers. Then a light bulb goes off in his bony head. He decides to turn over a new leaf and do good deeds instead of soul collecting. Unfortunately, his attempts at being nice hit a wall. People are totally freaked out by his grim looks and run away from his helpful gestures. It's not easy being kind when you're as spooky as Grim. So one day, an earthquake shakes things up, causing the ground to split open. Now, Billy's just about to head back to his pals when bam, something unseen yanks him down into the crater. Mandy and Grim decide to check out the commotion at the junkyard and get pulled into the hole too. They end up in the center of the earth where they meet Nurgle. Nurgle's been keeping tabs on our trio from his underground headquarters, and he's feeling pretty darn jealous of their friendship and all the fun they're having. So he wants Grim to hand over Billy and Mandy so they can be his pals forever. Grim, maybe not the best judge of character, agrees to this deal and heads back to the surface. But things aren't all sunshine and rainbows down there. While Billy's pretty cool with being Nurgle's new bestie, Mandy's got her doubts. She thinks they should bail, but Nurgle's got other plans. As time goes on, even Billy gets fed up with Nurgle's craziness. Now, Grim's been enjoying his break, but he eventually has a change of heart and decides to rescue the gang. But Nurgle's not about to let them go that easily. He zaps Grim with these wild electric tentacles, literally tearing him apart. Just when things look pretty dire, Mandy steps up to the plate and saves the day. So picture this, it's a regular November day and Billy's in the mood for some spring cleaning. I know, not exactly the right season, but it's Billy we're talking about here. He's poking around Grim's old trunk and finds an old lamp. You know, the kind you'd expect to have a genie inside? Well, turns out there is some truth to that because Billy gives it a good rub and out pops Grim's mother. Now, Grim had warned them about this curse and here it is in the flesh. So his mom's all like, hey, I'll grant you guys a wish each. Sounds awesome, right? Billy being Billy goes and wishes to know what to wish for. I mean, really? Anyway, Grim never even gets a chance to make his wish because Mandy steps in and wishes for them to shut up. And they end up with their mouths literally zipped shut. But Mandy's got some ideas, so she decides to wish that all the humans on Earth disappear. When she steps outside, it's like a ghost town. Nobody's around. She goes back inside, gives this kind of sneaky smile, and just says,
Perfect.
Guess who's back from her vacation? Yep, it's Gladys, Billy's mom. She walks in and spots Grim still hanging around, and let's just say she's not exactly thrilled about it. See, she's got this idea that Grim's here to whisk Billy away, like some kind of over-the-top babysitter. Little does she know, Grim's got a promise to keep, the whole best friends forever thing with Billy and Mandy. So she's on a mission, causing a scene, thinking she's protecting her kid. Things are getting wild, but just when it looks like chaos is winning, Billy and Mandy show up and catch her red-handed. And you know Grim, he's got a flair for the dramatic. He's all like, you might have won this round, but the war is still on. Classic Grim. It's a regular day, but things start feeling a bit off. Billy's buddy, Irvin, isn't picking up the phone, his parents are nowhere to be found, and Mandy's dropping lines about wanting Billy for dinner. Yep, sounds spooky, right? Billy and Grim start putting together this wild theory that Mandy might be some sort of cannibal, snacking on his parents and pals. They start snooping around, finding these ticky setups and plans for a big party in Mandy's yard. Suspicions rising, but turns out they're actually setting up a birthday bash for Billy. However, just when things settle down, Mandy burps and out comes Irvin's glasses. So did she actually eat him, or was it just a practical joke? I guess we'll never know. Billy and Mandy encounter a mysterious carnival that emerges from the ground, managed by the lonely Nurgle. Seeking friendship, Nurgle's attempts are met with failure due to his unpleasant behavior. Billy decides to help him learn the 5 C's of friendship: cleanliness, consideration, compliments, conversation, and, well, sharing. Looks like Billy needs some spelling lessons too. Despite his efforts, Nurgle struggles with each aspect, including insulting others, discussing unpleasant topics, and misunderstanding genuine connections. Seeking advice from Grimm, he resorts to using his powers to create followers called the Nurglings, revealing a misguided understanding of friendship. So after Mandy threw Billy an epic birthday bash a few days back, it's only fair that Billy returns the favor. He gets this genius idea to throw a surprise party for Mandy, and he ropes Grimm into the plan. Now, Grimm's not exactly thrilled, but he goes along with it because, well, what can you do? So there they are, cooking up a cake and keeping it all hush-hush from Mandy. And you know how well keeping secret goes with these guys, right? But they are determined, they're sneaky, they're kind of messy in the kitchen. But the big moment arrives and they spring the surprise on Mandy. And guess what? She's like sort of surprised, but not really. And it turns out that her actual birthday is still 5 months away. Classic Billy move, right? He just couldn't wait to celebrate with his best buddy. At the Enswell Mall, while Billy goes grocery shopping for socks, Grimm spots Eris, the goddess of discord and chaos, whom he has a crush on. Unfortunately, Eris prefers another guy named Adonis. Mandy and Eris engage in playful pranks, but things take a turn when Eris pulls a prank on Mandy, sparking her desire for revenge. After Billy finishes his unusual shopping, he teases Grimm about his feelings for Eris, inspiring Mandy's plan to trick Eris. Mandy tells Eris that Adonis is waiting for her at the mall's dark movie theater. Eris enters, assuming she'll meet Adonis, and kisses a silhouette she mistakes for him. When Mandy switches on the lights, it's revealed that Eris just kissed Grimm, much to her shock and humiliation. Mandy considers it payback, and Grimm is delighted that Eris finally kissed him. Billy, ever eccentric, offers Mandy and Grimm a hot buttered sweat sock, while expressing his disdain for kissing. After Billy's junk food indulgence leaves him with toxic junk food syndrome, Mandy seeks Granny Grimm's remedy, requiring a dimensional rift to retrieve a crucial ingredient. Transported to an outer dimensional bog, Mandy and Grimm secure the ingredient and concoct the remedy. Billy drinks it only to develop a strange growth on his back that evolves into a creature named Yap Yap. Despite Mandy's efforts to administer the antidote, Yap Yap's influence resists it. As Yap Yap gains strength, it bites Grimm before being tempted by cherry soda, leading it to consume the antidote and dissolve into a puddle. However, Billy secretly consumes the bag, mimicking Yap Yap's behavior. During a school trip to the museum, Billy, Mandy, and Grimm cross paths with Haas Delgado, a self-proclaimed paranormal hunter. When Haas spots Grimm, he goes all in to eliminate him, leading to a crazy showdown right there in the museum. However, Haas eventually realizes that it's Billy and Mandy who are really calling the shots with Grimm, and controlling Grimm is no small feat. So he decides to move on to other supernatural adventures, and we catch a glimpse of him later, still fighting the good fight, this time taking on a werewolf. It's a never-ending journey for Haas Delgado. Mandy's parents leave for a trip, leaving Billy feeling lonely without her. To alleviate his loneliness, Grimm helps Billy create a bizarre, toy-like creature named New Mandy. Grimm brings New Mandy to life using magic, but she turns out to be overly aggressive and disruptive, causing chaos around the house. Billy's attempts to play with her result in mishaps, and even his sleep is disrupted by nightmares involving her. As the real Mandy and her family return, they encounter New Mandy, leading to a confrontation that results in her breaking into pieces. A mock funeral is held, and although Billy was terrified of New Mandy, he still mourns her loss. However, at the end of the episode, New Mandy's hand emerges from the shoebox, grabbing Billy's nose and demanding to play, suggesting that the chaos might continue. Despite Grimm's warnings, Billy becomes entranced by the bad book and becomes possessed by the powerful entity Yog-Sothoth. With Yog-Sothoth's dark powers, Billy gains control over Grimm's scythe and opens a portal to unleash monsters and chaos into the world. Grimm and Mandy seek the help of Haas Delgado to stop the situation, but even their combined efforts fail to defeat possessed Billy and Yog-Sothoth. Mandy takes a bold step here and pushes Billy along with the book into the portal, sending the entity back to its realm.
You do realize you've sentenced Billy to an eternity in another dimension now, right?
However, the outer gods reject Billy and send him back to his friends with their pity and disdain. One night, feeling lonely, Billy seeks companionship from both Mandy and Grimm, but both are preoccupied with their own activities. Disheartened, Billy visits Irvin, who's watching a movie and doesn't notice him at the window. Feeling rejected, Billy wanders off, feeling downcast. He looks up at a twinkling star in the sky and makes a wish for someone to play with. Miraculously, the star transforms into a meteor that lands in Billy's backyard. However, this meteor is quite unique. It's a singing meteor that requests brains. Excited, Billy gathers the folks from Ennsville, and Irvin becomes the meteor's first victim. And then Mandy approaches. The meteor attempts to eat her brain, but to its surprise, Mandy's brain is spicy, causing the meteor to melt. Mandy then becomes the new meteor and playfully asks Billy for brains. One time, Mandy visits Billy's house and finds Grim sick in bed, oozing green slime due to encroaching doom syndrome. While Mandy reads about his illness in one of Grim's books, Billy cleans up the slime. The book suggests going to the underworld hospital, and though Grim resists, they all end up going. In the waiting room, Mandy realizes Grim might not be too sick compared to other patients, but they flee when they learn he has encroaching doom syndrome. In the operating room, Grim turns into a human, astonishing everyone. Back at Billy's house, they lend Grim clothes and visit the mall, where Grim enjoys attention from women and dislikes his human form. The episode ends with Grim getting eaten by a slime monster, leading to his recovery and return to his normal skeleton form. Then, one time, Mandy interrupts Billy's video game and introduces him to a new game, President Evil, featuring Hoss Delgado. Mandy becomes engrossed in the game, while Billy dismisses it as a girl's game. He decides to go make brownies, but creates a terrible mess and substitutes Grim's evil powder for salt. The aroma from the brownies resurrects zombies from the cemetery, and they attack their house. Billy is sent to confront them, and news reports reveal that the smell has spread globally due to the evil powder. Hoss Delgado arrives, confusing Billy with Pat the Baker, and helps fight the zombies. The group realizes the zombies are after Grim's brownies and reluctantly offer them up, saving themselves. After the zombies are defeated, a previously grenade-wielding zombie chicken survives the ordeal. On Valentine's Day, while Grim, Mandy, and Billy get caught up in romantic activities, Aunt Sis is left in charge by Harold and Gladys for the weekend. Unbeknownst to them, lonely Nurgle, who has been observing Sis, arrives with a horde of Nurglings, aiming to woo her. Mistakenly thinking Nurgle is causing trouble again, the trio prepares to confront him, but Nurgle's interest lies solely in Sis, and he asks her out on a date. Mandy warns Billy of the potential consequences if the night goes well. Billy tries various hilarious tactics to sabotage the date, but Nurgle's persistence pays off. At Lover's Leap, with comedic mishaps, Nurgle proposes to Sis, who is impressed by his quirky antics and accepts, making Nurgle Billy's official uncle, and they leave happily together. Mandy instructs Billy to fetch a soda, and he heads to Grim's trunk. Inside the trunk, he discovers an egg, which he mistakenly assumes will hatch into a duck. However, the egg contains a surprise, a large spider named Jeff, who immediately takes Billy to be his dad. Terrified, Billy attempts to squish Jeff, but the spider just wants to assist his newfound dad. Eventually, Billy and Jeff decide to hire an exterminator, but to everyone's surprise, the exterminator doesn't harm Jeff. Instead, he is won over by Jeff's kindness and exceptional cooking skills, leading him to adopt Jeff as his own son. Now, who saw that coming? Nurgle and Sis now have a son, Nurgle Jr., and decide to sign him up for a winter camp supervised by Harold and Grim. Jr. is unsure about fitting in and initially faces a bumpy start, getting into a clash with a local boy and having to cope with less than ideal accommodations. Attempting to fit in, he takes on the appearance of other campers, creating chaos. Mandy takes it upon herself to investigate, and the situation escalates into a confrontation between Billy and Jr. Seeking companionship, Jr. resorts to using his tentacles when his overtures are rejected. Mandy intervenes, using Jr.'s attachment to his teddy bear, leading to a moment of understanding and forgiveness. Billy extends the hand of friendship, although he inadvertently makes an insensitive remark about Jr.'s appearance.
Holy cow! I've never seen anything so horrible in my whole life!
Mandy then brings Jr. home in disguise, concluding the misadventure. When Billy forgets to complete his history homework, Grim comes up with an unusual solution. He gives Billy a universal remote control that can manipulate time and space. So Billy and Mandy embark on a series of time-traveling escapades. They journey through the American Revolution, prehistoric times, and even venture into the future. In one version of the future, they encounter an older Billy who has just completed the report, but the situation takes a comical turn when young Billy flushes it down the toilet. Amidst struggles over the remote, Mandy and older Billy find themselves in a chaotic alternate timeline where past and future intertwine. Meanwhile, young Billy ends up back in prehistoric times, and the remote ultimately breaks. Unexpectedly, he forms a connection with a cave girl, and their bond leads Billy to become part of human evolution. As time loops back to the present, a strange outcome emerges. The world is populated by people who share Billy's distinctive dot eyes, prominent nose, and most importantly, lack of intelligence. Even Mandy and Irvin exhibit these characteristics, wrapping up the episode in a quirky and comedic fashion. On a mundane summer day, Billy, Mandy, Grim, and Irvin decide to spice things up by peeking into the future. What they find is quite unexpected and bizarre. Mandy has become an immortal being, a unique blend of a warm demon and a human dictator ruling over the Earth. Grim remains her steadfast best friend, and the presence of numerous dim-witted Billy clones keep her entertained. Oddly, Cinnamon serves as Mandy's main source of power, and she lies about it being her weakness to Billy. Grim, feeling a sense of rebellion, enlists Billy's help in a team against Mandy's reign. Billy, eager to assist, unknowingly shares the fabricated weakness of Cinnamon with the rebellious group. As a result, their plan to defy Mandy is thwarted, and they find themselves apprehended by her. The twist in the story lies in Mandy's uncanny knowledge of their actions. It turns out that she knew about their plans from her observations of the crystal ball in the present, leaving the group baffled by her foresight and raising questions about the mysterious forces at play. While trick-or-treating, Grim recounts the tale of the prankster Jack, who, after escaping death but losing his head, only emerges to play tricks on Halloween. On Halloween night, dressed up as Grim Reaper with Grim's real scythe, Billy crosses paths with Jack, who steals the scythe to exact revenge on Enswell and perpetuate endless Halloween nights. After causing destruction, Jack captures Grim to sever his head. To save Grim, Billy gets Mandy's help, who plans pranks to defeat Jack. Billy distracts Jack with a comical display, and Mandy sets off pranks, but Jack remains unfazed. Irvin accidentally triggers all the pranks, causing Jack and his minions to laugh themselves to their doom, ultimately saving Grim. Jack is then banished to the underworld, presumably meeting a gruesome end.
I wonder where our next adventure will take us.
Now, in the final episode, Billy's curiosity is piqued when he sees a green flash in the sky at night, which he believes signifies an adventure. He heads to a cornfield where the flash appeared, thinking it's a crop circle created by aliens. However, he encounters a school bully Spurg, who is actually trying to keep the corn down. Suddenly, a UFO abducts them and performs strange experiments. The next day, Billy shares a story, and Mandy, Grim, and Spurg investigate the UFO. Inside, they find evidence of the aliens' activities and a chip in Billy's brain. Upon probing Billy's memories, they discover that he thwarted the aliens by dancing and saved Spurg, who now has a bomb in his head from Grim's scan. When they exit the ship, they find that the town is swarmed with government officials and UFOs. An alien gift is left at Billy's house, which turns out to be an expanding alien creature. The gang has a humorous conversation about forming a super team, but Grim suggests taking a break for commercials. Billy, Mandy, Grim, and Spurg find themselves captured by the aliens, who reveal their sinister plot to take over the Earth during the full moon when they all turn into werewolves.
Snarling, foaming at the mouth, rip you limb from limb werewolves?
Whoa, alien werewolves? Well, that's something new. The group is forced into a gladiatorial arena, but is saved by the appearance of a moon beast that distracts the aliens. They manage to escape the aliens' moon base, where they come up with various creative plans to thwart the aliens. With Mandy's reprogramming of robots gone awry, the aliens themselves transform into werewolves and attack. Grim unleashes his scythe, and with a touch of drama, transforms the group into superhero personas proposed by Billy. They engage in a heroic battle against the aliens, eventually causing Spurg's self-sacrifice to crash the alien spaceship onto the moon, saving the day. In the end, Milk Mandy and the Cheese Reaper continue their superhero adventures. Billy embraces his werewolf persona, and Spurg returns as a headless bully. And that is Billy and Mandy from the beginning to the end in detail. Ah, what a roller coaster of emotions it is. If you enjoyed our recap as much as we did making it for you, drop us a like and subscribe to Cartoon Mania for more awesome tunes like this recapped on your feed. With that said, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!